Welcome to this new school year at St. John's Lutheran School. Some of you are returning families and we can't wait to see you again. For our new families, we look forward to meeting you and walking with you and your child through this new school year. If we haven't met yet, my name is Jan Watson. I'm the director here at St. John's Lutheran School. If you have questions or need anything, please just give us a call or email us. Each year as we begin school, I ask parents, are you ready? This year, that's really a loaded question. Starting a new school year is always exciting. It offers change for everyone, and sometimes those changes are happy, but yet a little scary. And this year is not any different because of the world we now live in with COVID-19. The unknowns can be very unsettling, and over the recent months, life has turned upside down and inside out for all of us. And now we're stepping out into a still unsettled world. So, are you ready? Each year we begin with a theme, and this year's theme is Sent to Serve. It's based on Matthew 20, verse 28, which tells us about Jesus. The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. As I speak to you today, there are many things that vie for our attention. How do we live and function in a pandemic? How do we manage work? How do we manage school and our kids? The list is very long. I invite you to take a minute to step away with me to really look at these words that we have from Matthew 28. Again, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. If you take a minute to think about what it's telling us, Jesus, God's Son, was born to man, and he came to serve. Jesus came to give his life as a ransom, the verse says. That means on the behalf of someone else, and a ransom for many, and those many are us. Have you ever considered how unsettling and inside out it would be for Jesus to leave his heavenly Father and come down to us, in the world that we live in? He was God's perfect Son. So out of love, Jesus did it to serve his heavenly Father. In John 8:29, he says, I always do what pleases him. He came to serve, and out of love, he has served us all by making his life a gift to us to enable us to be part of God's family. Jesus often used daily examples when he was teaching those who were around him. He gave an example of being the good shepherd who cares for his sheep. That would be us, the people. And the shepherd calls his sheep to follow him, and that would be us. And the shepherd lays down his life for sheep. And, when we stop and understand that relationship of Jesus being the shepherd who cares for and protects and lays down his life for the sheep, for us, it enables us to live in a peace that he has promised us. Isaiah 40:11 tells us, he tends his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in his arms, and he carries them close to his heart. He gently leads those that have young. We live in very uncertain times that are very daunting, but we have Jesus, our shepherd, who loves, protects, provides for, and guides us all, keeping us close to his heart. As a shepherd calls to his sheep, follow me, so Jesus calls to us, follow me. As a shepherd does not leave his sheep, so Jesus promises not to leave us. May this be the peace that dwells in us each day. And when all the many parts of life these days start to overwhelm us, let's remember he's with us. He knows it all. He is faithful, and he carries us. And so that is how we will go into our school year. This is our 65th year of early childhood education here at St. John's Lutheran School. In the year ahead, we'll be living together in the sense that we're sharing a most important task, and that is the task of teaching and raising up a child. It'd be your child. It's well documented that the early childhood years have a lifelong impact on shaping a child. It's been said that the first years will last forever. You have been a significant teacher to your child since they were born, but certainly in the last 6 months. They learn from what you say. They learn from what you don't say. They learn from watching what you do and what you don't do. And you've been carrying this responsibility. And again, particularly in the last 6 months, in a different way. Now, by God's grace, we get to join you in the task of nurturing and teaching your child along with you. And we thank you for this opportunity. In this time with you, I want to inform you of how things will work at school this year. Information about classroom routines. I know you have many questions. I want to tell you what you can expect. At St. John's Lutheran School, our curriculum is based on the Maryland State Department of Education early childhood and kindergarten curriculums, but we also have the privilege in our Christian school to assist children in spiritual development, of helping them to come to know who Jesus is. In addition to all the many things taught and learned here at school, this is a great part that we love together. If I asked you to tell me about your child, what would you tell me about them? Would you describe their appearance, their personality, what they like, what they don't like, what they know, what they don't know? There are many aspects to your child. They're a creative combination of different developmental areas. At school, we will work specifically in helping them to grow in the social emotional development, physical development, cognitive development, and also spiritual. We understand it takes a lot of time and interaction to learn about and understand each child. All these developmental pieces of your child fit together uniquely, and they're all equally important. Lots of learning will take place in all of these realms. The social and emotional development incorporates learning to share, making friends, resolving problems and conflicts, express feelings, learn self-control, and develop self-confidence. We work on these things at school. Physical development is learning to use their large and fine motor skills. Cognitive development, learning and processing information about our world, the language, arts and literacy, mathematical and scientific thinking. And spiritual development is coming to know who God is and knowing of his great love, the need for him, and that he is with us always as he promises. Typically, you would be sitting in the fellowship hall for all this information at a parent orientation meeting. Since we can't do that, I'm going to give you information now verbally. The teachers will also be making a recording and sending it to you to give you information specific to the classroom, and also to give you a tour of the classroom and what you can expect, since, again, because of COVID, we're not able to do this in person. Over the recent weeks, you should have been receiving school emails with administration for you about various policies. Teachers will also be setting up for the 4-year-olds a meet and greet to do virtually with your child, so that they also can know what they're coming to when they come to school. Due to the pandemic, we've had to change procedures and routines here at school. Please be assured that over the summer weeks, we've been working very intentionally to put measures in place to follow the guidelines set out by the Maryland State Department of Education, which is in compliance with the CDC and the Health Department. You should have received the Parent COVID Handbook Addendum previously in a school email. I believe I added it to last week's email and a couple of weeks prior to that. This addendum outlines many of the changes that have been adopted for this 2020-21 school year due to the pandemic. And I wanted to quickly outline just a few specifics, but I will need you to read the handbook. And there is a first page of the handbook. It looks like this, and you're also getting a paper copy in a folder on your first day of school. But after you read the addendum, you need to sign this form and return it to school. Several things that we will do daily. Let me just outline them quickly, and then I will try to go into detail on just a few of them. As you read the addendum, it outlines everything that we've put in place to be able to ensure the safest school experience that we can. It's going to take all of us working together. And so please be reassured that on this end, we're very serious about what we're doing, so that when we get the kids in, they can get into their classroom, get serious and settle, and have a wonderful preschool and kindergarten experience. But every day your children will get checked for their temperature, and we will go through a symptom check. That is written in the addendum. You will be hearing about it. It includes all the symptoms of COVID, which is the general list of coughing, sneezing, sore throat, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fever, chills, muscle pain, new loss of taste or smell, or headache. Every morning you will be asked, has your child had any of these symptoms in the last 24 hours or since they were last here at school? Also, we will check the temperature. Please, before you get in the car to come to school, check your child. Check their temperature at home. If their fever is over 100, don't bring them to school. If they have any of these symptoms, please don't bring them to school. According to the CDC and the health department, we're not allowed to let children with these symptoms come into their class for that day. Now, I know these symptoms are very general, and we're dealing with young children who might even just simply have the sniffles, but we have to be very intentional with this, and we will be checking every day. And your child, we don't want you to drive to school to have us say, I'm sorry, your child can't come in today because clearly they're coughing, or clearly we can see they don't feel well, or they have a fever. Please do not give your child Tylenol in the morning if they have a slight fever and send them to school. This is a very serious thing, and we need to take every measure and precaution so that we can keep them safe, but also everyone else, the classmates and the teachers. So every morning you will be checked. Children need to wear masks. Parents need to wear masks when you come to bring your children to the check-in. We will continue to work in our classrooms. When our children get here, they will be greeted by their teachers who will take them to their classroom. They will be in their classroom with their teachers throughout the day. When they need to go to the bathroom, their class will have a bathroom that only their class will use. It will be cleaned periodically throughout the morning. When they go outside, they will use a door that only their class is going to use. When they're on the playground, they'll be out there with their class only, and at the end of their playtime, the playground will get cleaned. We're putting every measure in place so that we can keep each group in its own little bubble per se. They will not be mixing with other classes. And as much as possible, they will be in their own space, not shared space with anybody else. We will be washing hands very, very frequently. Children will wash hands when they come in. Children will wash hands before they eat, after they use the bathroom, when they come in from playing outside. It will be a constant process. We've always washed hands a lot. We'll be even more intentional now with everybody washing their hands all the time with soap and water. And we will be routinely cleaning toys. After a child uses a toy, it will not be used by anybody else until it has been cleaned. Again, we're taking every precaution as much as we are physically able to help this be a safe, clean environment for our kids. Our tables, as you will see from the recordings that the teachers will send out, we have table dividers so that if children do sit at a table together, there is a divider between them. Children will wear face masks. We understand that they may need a break occasionally. We also have a face shield for each child. So if they need to take a break from their mask, we will put the shield on them. So at least there is a barrier. Again, we're working hard to make sure that we follow the instructions that have been communicated as being effective. Due to the COVID, again, we have had to change our arrival and procedures. We will not be able to have visitors in our building this year at this time. Parents will not be able to come in and drop their children off at the classroom door. Instead, you'll come to the school door. To make this possible, we have a new arrival and dismissal procedure. You should have received a school email yesterday with that procedure in it. That procedure I will just go through it very briefly, but again, you did get it in an email yesterday, and we will start this procedure on Tuesday morning when our kindergartners come, and on the following Monday when our preschoolers come. Each class is designated a specific color and in a specific time for arrival and a specific time for dismissal, depending whether you're coming at noon or later in the afternoon. The form that you have received outlines all of this information. For arrival, you will come onto the parking lot and you will park in the lane with the cone that is the same color designated to your class. There will be a school staff member out there to help everybody get organized. After you do this for a day or two, you'll have it down. And this is a new procedure, so please bear with us. If we need to tweak it, we will communicate that with you. Please follow the directions on the procedure as outlined. If we can all do this, then we will be able to easily accommodate the arrival and the dismissal process. So at arrival, you will park in your lane and you will stay in your car. When it is your class's turn for getting checked in, the cone of the same color as your color will be put at the mouth of the circle drive. And when you see that the cone at the mouth of the circle drive is the color of your class, get out of your car with your children and walk to the circle drive. There will be markers on the ground for you to socially distance. We ask that you line up at the tape on the ground with your child and wait your turn to get checked in. Teachers for each class will be at the check-in to help facilitate that. Teachers will not have time at the check-in to chit-chat with you. You may have questions, you may need to tell them something about your child. We ask that you write this down on a note and just hand it to either me, I'll be down there as well, or to a teacher to communicate what you need them to know, because we're not going to have time for every parent to touch base with the teacher, and we apologize for that, but due to the nature of the situation, that's just how we need to do. So if there's something you need to share with the teacher in the morning about your child for the day, please write it down so that we can hand it to the teacher so they get the information. Also, teachers will not be able to check email throughout the morning. If something happens and you need to come collect your child, or somebody different is coming to pick up your child, then please call the school office. The number is 410-592-8019. Call the school. If we don't answer, leave a message. We check it regularly to get messages off of it. But please do not email your teacher during the morning, because they're busy with the children and they're not checking their phones. All right, so arrival, we're going to check your child's temperature and symptom. We're going to give them to the teacher or the teacher assistant, who then will walk them down to their class and they'll start their morning. Then we ask parents to please go ahead and get right back in your car and pull away and out of the parking lot so that nobody clogs up the parking lane, so that everyone can leave after they get their child checked in. For dismissal, it's the same thing. You come to the parking lot, you park in your designated lane. You stay in your car. When it is time to dismiss the children, again, the color cone at the mouth of the circle drive will indicate when it's your turn. For dismissal, the staff member who is on the parking lot will indicate that it is time for your row to slowly drive forward to the circle drive. And then you will stop in the circle drive. We will load your child into your car on the passenger side. We will simply open the door and put your child into the car in the back seat on the driver's side. Then you'll be instructed to pull forward to a different parking spot where you can get out and buckle your child in and then be on your way. For those who were here last year who came for our end of the year drive-through, it will be very similar to that process that we did at that time. So that's a very general outline of our procedures. Again, I ask that you read the addendum, which has been emailed to you. I will send it out one more time before school starts on Tuesday for kindergartners. You will also get it in writing on the first day of school. The other COVID detail that I would like to tell you about is a travel policy. You'll find lots of information, and I know there are many questions of what happens if, a child in class is tested positive. You will be informed right away. If a teacher tests positive, then there are so many scenarios. What happens if, a parent was exposed? What should the child do? Some of these things are outlined in our addendum, but in any time that there has been an exposure or a positive test, we are required as a school to contact the health department, and they will instruct us what has to happen. If there has been exposure in a single class, and we have been able to just isolate that class like we intend to, then it would possibly be that just that class would need to not come to school for a 2-week quarantine. If that happens, teachers will automatically go to virtual learning for that 2-week quarantine period. If it is longer than that, if it was like what happened in March where we ended up closing for the year, kindergarten will continue virtually, preschool will not. But again, if it's just a 2-week window of quarantine for one specific class, whether it's the 4s or kindergarten, it would be virtual learning. Teachers would put lessons on so that your child could access it. And, again, we did that from March to May, so teachers are ready to do that again if need be. Our prayer is that we won't have to do that. But just so you are aware of that. If a family travels and leaves the state for 24 hours or longer, then the child, before re-entering school, needs to have a COVID test that is a negative response. That is if, as of right now, and again, the addendum is a living document because things continue to change and we never know which direction it's going to go. But if your family travels out of state for 24 hours or over, your child may not come to school until they have, and the recommendation is to have them tested 3 days after you return for COVID, and as soon as they have a negative result, then you bring that to us and they can come back to school. So again, we're just following general guidelines from the health department, but that is a travel policy that was added just in the last 2 or 3 weeks, so please be aware of that. Please read through the whole addendum, and as I said, you'll need to sign that paper and turn it in. In addition to, on the first day, you will, when you bring your child to school and we check them in, you will receive your family parking pass. You will receive 3 of them. It will be a bright piece of paper that matches the color of your cone, and it will have your family name on it. That needs to be put on the dashboard of your vehicle for picking your child up at school. You will receive 3 of them. So there's one for each parent, or one for parent and babysitter and grandparent. Whoever's going to pick up your child needs to have that in their dashboard, so as you drive up, we know who you are collecting, and we know that this is an authorized person to collect your child. So you will be given, they will be put into your hands on the first morning at check-in so that you have that. And the arrival and dismissal procedure will be printed on the back of it. So if it's somebody picking up who, if it's a grandparent or a babysitter picking up, they can read through it to know exactly how it works. But again, there will be a staff member on the parking lot to assist with this process. Also, on the first morning of school, you will receive a family folder that you would typically get at the parent orientation meeting. There are several things in that folder. Well, everything in that folder is important that you will need to read through. There will be a list of the school staff. There will be a parent handbook that has important information in it. Let me just quickly go through here. I had a few things highlighted. Communication. As I mentioned, if you need to touch base with a teacher, write it down on a note and bring it and give it to us first thing in the morning. Typically, when coming to school, if you had tuition or paperwork that you needed to give either the office or teachers, you would just put it in the teacher's hands. And for the office, you would put it in the school mailbox. We will have a container on the check-in table, so if you are bringing tuition or any other paperwork, you will put it in that container, and I will deal with that for the office, and we will just do it that way. Every week I send out an email from the school office that outlines our procedures, our calendar, any important information that you need to know. If you are not receiving this email from me weekly already, please let me know so that we can find out why you're not receiving it. You should be on our list and you should be getting it. Please check your junk email if you have not gotten emails from us yet. I have been sending them out for the last several weeks. I did send one yesterday. So if you cannot find it, please, again, call or you can email us and let me know that you're not receiving the school emails that I'm sending out. Teachers will also be communicating very closely with you, especially since you're not able to touch base with them face to face at arrival and dismissal as we've done in the past. One of the forms that you'll find in your folder, I also added to yesterday's email, and that was the school calendar. If you look on the second page of the school calendar, you'll see the inclement weather policy. This policy outlines what we do if there's bad weather. Now, typically we follow Baltimore County Public Schools. Because Baltimore County Public Schools are starting virtually, I don't know if they will be announcing school closures. I know they will have study groups coming to school buildings, so I assume that there will be announcements. But typically, if Baltimore County Public Schools close for the day due to inclement weather, we also are closed. If the county school has a 1 or 2 hour delay, we automatically start at 10:15. So when it gets to be time for having to determine what we do with school due to bad weather, we'll have to see where we're at. But typically we do follow Baltimore County Public Schools, what they announce. If they're closed, we're closed. If they start delayed, then we start at 10:15. And if they have an early dismissal, then typically we dismiss if it's called at 10 o'clock in the morning that they're going to have an early dismissal. That would mean that we would cancel all of our afternoon procedures. So anyway, the inclement weather policy is on the back at the bottom of the calendar page. You can read through that. I also do send school-wide emails. Also, I will text you. We have the ability in the case of an emergency to text you. So that's how that communication will get passed on to you. Please remember, we are a nut-free school. So if your child stays for lunch because they're staying for an afternoon program, please make sure that they do not have any peanut butter, so that they do not have any products with nuts in them. We do have some children with allergies, and we try to be very intentional about taking care of everybody. So no nuts. For birthday snacks this year, we have tried to simplify everything and to have minimal touch on our staff's behalf in preparing snacks. We ask that if you want to send in a snack for your child's birthday, that you send in cookies. And again, they need to be nut-free. You just need to keep it very simple this year. I would remind you that at the beginning of each month, for those of you paying tuition by the month, your tuition is due at the beginning of each month for the month ahead. So for those who are paying monthly, September 1st was this week, so it is time for your next tuition payment. Please get that in. It is for the month of October. We always pay a month ahead. Your last monthly tuition will be in April. And then for returning families, the first tuition for the following year at re-enrollment is due May 1st. So that's how all that works. Again, if you have questions, please just let us know. So much of that information is in the family handbook. Please finish looking at that and read through it so you're familiar with everything. Paperwork for your students need to be on file. For new students and all kindergartners, we need the health inventory. For all students, we need an updated immunization form. For all students, we need the emergency form. Even if you were here last year, we need a new emergency form because often information changes and we just need it updated for this school year. And also there is a student photo permission form. If you need any of these forms that you have lost or don't have, you can find them at our school website, which is stjohnlutheranschool.org. Also, if your child has an allergy or asthma and they will need to have medication at school, you need to complete the allergy action plan or the asthma action plan along with the medication permission form. Your doctor needs to sign both of these forms. Again, if you need that, if you just discovered this summer that your child has an allergy or asthma situation that we have not been informed of, you can find these forms on our website as well. And those will need to be in place if you have to send medicine to school for your child. If you are in the FORS program and would like to use the FORS afternoon enrichment program, that will start in October. The children will stay from 12 to 2. And as the parking shows the dismissal, the FORS will be dismissed first and then kindergartners will follow at 2:15. But if you're going to utilize the afternoon enrichment program, there is a green afternoon enrichment form that will be in your family folder. Each month you have the option of how many afternoons your child will stay for the month. For the first time, we need you to fill out that green form so we know what your plan is for your child. If the next month is coming up and you know you want to change what afternoons your child is going to be at school, you need to fill out a new green form and just let us know. We will have these. I will try to remember to have this paperwork at the check-in desk table. You can also get it off. It should be online as well. But every time you change each month, you would need to fill out a new form. For kindergarten afternoons, if you are staying just some afternoons or not afternoons yet, but you want to add them as you go through the year, you will fill out a pink afternoon kindergarten form. Again, these forms will be in your family folder for you to have available and to fill out. Other information will be in your family folder. Again, please go through and read through everything. We do collect box tops. It is done digitally now. There's information about that.